Hello once again from Munich Tour Tips TV, guys, for another virtual walking tour of the city. And remember folks, if you don't want to miss any of the tours that I'll be doing on here, please just gently hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be alerted when any of the new tours are actually loaded up onto the channel. Today we're walking from Odeonsplatz over to Königsplatz, taking in one of the main boulevards in the city, the Briennerstraße. So here we are, guys, the beautiful Briennerstraße in the centre of Munich. As I say, it's one of the main boulevards in the city, along with the Ludwigstraße, the Maximilianstraße and the Prinzregentenstraße. The street was constructed in accordance with a plan by Karl von Fischer and Friedrich Ludwig von Sckell, and the avenue is named after the Battle of Brienne. So on the Briennerstraße across the road here, on the square, we can see a statue to King Maximilian I, the King of the Holy Roman Empire, which included Germany at the time. Maximilian's life is still commemorated in Central Europe centuries later. The Order of St. George, which he sponsored, still exists. During the Nazi period between 1933 and 1945, the Briennerstraße was used as a road to drive foreign dignitaries in those big Mercedes limousines that they used to use, to drive them down to the Königsplatz, where the Nazis held their ceremonial rallies and where the administrative headquarters of the Nazi party were. So, you know, when foreign dignitaries like Mussolini or Neville Chamberlain were driven down this road, there would be Nazi banners hanging off all of the buildings. It was a display of strength, if you like, and it was meant to impress these visitors. One of the most famous coffee shops in the city, guys, the Café Leopold, a modern coffee house in a grand 19th century building specialising in cakes and gourmet chocolates. Definitely worth a visit during your visit to Munich, and is a little bit of a haunt for local celebrities in the city as well during the summer months. Now, very significant, you can see that we're approaching here a little monument on the Briennerstraße. This is a memorial to the victims of National Socialism, the Eternal Flame as it's called. So on November the 8th, 1985, on the anniversary of the pogrom of 1938, the Munich mayor unveiled the memorial to the victims of National Socialism. So we're carrying on our little walk down this long avenue here, guys. The area that we're covering here on this virtual tour is part of the Third Reich walking tour that I do in the city all year round. At the moment, tours are suspended due to the coronavirus, which is why I'm doing these virtual tours for the channel at the moment. But you know, when you do eventually come into the city, when things get back to normal, hopefully as soon as possible, if you do my Third Reich walking tour and also my resistance tour, you'll get to see these locations, and I walk you around here and give you a lot of detail about that particular period and how it applies to this particular street. Now, as we've crossed the road here and we're making our way further down the Briennerstraße, The building, the modern building on the right that you can see here, originally was the location of the Wittelsbach Palais, which was a huge palace that was located here and was actually the headquarters of the Gestapo, or the Geheime Staatspolizei, the National Secret Police. And this is where enemies of the National Socialists, if you like, were brought to be interrogated and so forth before they were taken to trial in the People's Court. It's the building right here on the right. That was the location of the Wittelsbach Palais. So you see, it's very difficult to walk around Munich and avoid this very sinister period of its history. It all ties in. But as a visitor into the city, you need to have somebody on the ground to actually point these locations out to you. Like the Königsplatz that we're crossing here as well. This particular street here that we're looking down to the right was where Georg Elser lived for a period of time when he was preparing his assassination attempt on Adolf Hitler at the Bürgerbräu Keller. So, you know, when you come into the city, if it's not me, you know, get yourself a guide from any of the experienced guides in the city, and it really does open the city up to you. So look at my specific tours, evansguide.net, and there's 4 different tours you can select from on the website. As I mention on all of my videos, guys, the trams are a great way to get to see the city. So as we cross the road here, we're coming into the area that was very much the Nazi administrative area of the city. And the architecturally interesting building that you can see on the right hand side as we approach here in this kind of cubic form, contrasting with the much older architecture in the area, is the visitor centre for the history of National Socialism in Munich. It opened in the spring of 2015 and is a magnificent exhibition giving the history of the rise of the Nazis in Munich and how it pertained to this particular area where we're walking through at the moment. So again, guys, if you like your history, and particularly that period of 20th century German history, well worth a visit to the Documentation Centre of National Socialism. And as we walk past that building to the right, we can see the Führerbau, which as you can see is a classically Nazi building that was constructed in the early part of the Nazi rule here in Germany, and that was Hitler's headquarters in Munich. It's where the Munich Agreement was signed in 1938 when Neville Chamberlain visited the city and brokered an agreement with the Nazis with the idea of brokering peace, but as we know that agreement was broken the following year when the Nazis invaded Poland. So now as we cross the road from the Führerbau, we're entering onto the Königsplatz, or translated into English, King's Square. It was built in the style of European neoclassicism in the 19th century, and originally the area around the Königsplatz was meant to be a cultural and artistic area, and it was initially. But as I mentioned, when the Nazis came to power, they commandeered this area and used it as a ceremonial area on anniversaries that were significant to the Nazis. But the idea of it originally, as I say, is that it was meant to be a cultural and artistic centre of the city. And it's returned to being that today as well. The design of the area was based on the Acropolis in Greece, hence the pillars that you can see on the buildings and the green verges either side of the street here are meant to give it that feel of the Acropolis. Again, during the Nazi period there was no through road here. There were giant slabs across the area here, granite slabs, and They existed after the war, but because there was constantly flooding in the area here, they lifted all the slabs off the ground and returned a through road through the Königsplatz here so that people can drive through it today. So another area very well worth a visit when you come into the city, guys. Thank you ever so much for joining me on this virtual tour, and hopefully I'll see you in Munich soon. Take care now.